Today we will set up Thunder DNS using VMware. We will need the following in order to successfully set up Thunder DNS. We need a computer or server that supports hardware virtualization and VMware, at least 10 gigabytes of free disk space, at least a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core processor, 1 gigabyte of RAM or more, a Thunder DNS license key, which can be obtained through local partners or by contacting sales@thunderdns.io, and a high-speed internet connection. There are 6 main steps to setting up Thunder DNS on VMware. They are: Step 1, download and install VMware on the host hardware. Step 2, download the Thunder DNS image. Step 3, create a virtual server on VMware. Step 4, update the server settings. Step 5, access the server UI and login. Step 6, verify the setup. And we'll walk you through all of those steps. Let's get started by getting VMware set up on our hardware. In many scenarios, we already have VMware installed on our host hardware. If that's the case, you can skip this step. If not, go to the VMware website to download the appropriate image for your host hardware, and then install the VMware image. VMware has extensive support documentation in case you run into any issues. After VMware has successfully installed and it's running, we need to focus on downloading the Thunder DNS server image from thunderdns.io website. We'll go to the website and then click on the Resources tab and download the VMDK image. The image is over 1 gigabyte, so it may take a few minutes to download depending on the internet connection speed. Also, make sure you are getting the VMDK image, as this is what we will use for VMware. Once it has been downloaded, we need to unzip the VMDK image, and now we are ready to load Thunder DNS on VMware. For step 3, we will pull up VMware and then create a new virtual server by clicking File, New, and then select Create a Custom Virtual Machine. Select Other for the VM's operating system. Use the legacy BIOS for the boot firmware, and use an existing virtual disk and then select the downloaded Thunder DNS VMDK image file. Share the virtual disk with the virtual machine that created it, and then click Create. You can then name the virtual machine. We will call ours Thunder DNS, and the server should automatically start up. Step 4. Before we can access the server UI, we need to update some of the server settings on the VM. To do this, we first have to shut down the VM. Then we will access the VM settings icon. From there, we select Processors and Memory, and increase the memory to at least 1 gigabyte and change the VM to dual core. Next, we go to the network adapter settings on the VM and change the adapter to bridged adapter instead of NAT. We can now turn on the server to access the UI and log in to Thunder DNS. We'll click on the play button to start up the virtual server, wait for the server to load, and write down the IP address of the server that's found on the console. From there, we'll open a web browser and go to https:// the server IP address that was found on the console, :8001, because 8001 is the port. Thunder DNS uses DHCP with fallback by default. The fallback IP address is 192.168.22.1. Either the DHCP or the fallback IP address should display on the console. The web browser will redirect to the Thunder DNS login page. Please note that the VM needs internet access to get to the login page. If the server does not have internet access, then you will be asked to manually configure the server to provide internet access. At the login page, you can use your existing credentials if you already have a Thunder DNS account, or you can create an account if this is your first time using a Thunder DNS server. The first thing you do once you log in is to activate the server image by entering the server license key. Once the license is activated, we should verify our setup to make sure Thunder DNS is working properly. First, let's change the DNS IP of our computer to the virtual server's IP address. We'll do this by opening the network settings on our computer and go to the DNS tab and replace the default DNS server IP address with the IP address of Thunder DNS. We will apply the changes, and now we're set to test. To start, we want to make sure that the DNS queries are resolving properly. To do this, we open a web browser and point to any internet site and make sure that the web page resolves. Next, we'll go back to the server UI and add a few sites to our DNS blacklist, and we'll make sure that Thunder DNS is blocking those queries properly. As we can see, the sites that we added to the domain blacklist are being blocked by Thunder DNS. This also indicates that Thunder DNS is blocking millions of other security threats that are lurking on the internet. Finally, we'll go back to the status page and we'll see that we've already had a few hundred queries sent from our computer. Some of them were inspected and others were blocked. The setup looks good, and now you can configure the Thunder DNS Cloud Firewall, Content Filter, and Remote Tunneling. Hopefully this video helped you set up Thunder DNS on your VMware server. Thanks for your interest in Thunder DNS and your help in protecting the next billion.